Beyond the certificate. Where compliance ends, awareness begins, and a hidden threat to the Stuttgart community is exposed. OPSEC Minute Extended. Episode 052. Welcome to the OPSEC Minute Extended. Secure narratives that transform security principles into stories you can recognize, remember, and apply. Here's today's lesson. Prologue. USAG Stuttgart, Germany. Early summer rain painted silver streaks across the windows of Building 2915 as another workday began across the Stuttgart military community. Inside the offices, conference rooms, maintenance facilities, mail centers, motor pools, and headquarters buildings that kept the garrison running, hundreds of professionals were already hard at work. Soldiers, Army civilians, contractors, host nation employees, volunteers. Each carried responsibilities. Many carried access. All carried trust. Trust earned through years of service and safeguarded through adherence to security principles that most people never thought about until something went wrong. Outside, thunder rolled softly over the hills surrounding Stuttgart. Inside, an entirely different storm was gathering. Not one of rain, one of information. Invisible, patient, calculated. Somewhere beyond Germany's borders, hostile cyber actors were quietly searching social media profiles, professional networking sites, public records, and open-source information. They weren't looking for secrets. Not yet. They were looking for people. People who were distracted. People who were embarrassed. People who felt isolated. People who might one day make a decision they would regret. And in Stuttgart, one such opportunity had just appeared. Act 1. The reminder nobody wanted. Jessica "Jess" Navarro had mastered the art of multitasking. At 32 years old, the Directorate of Human Resources Specialist was known for solving personnel problems before they became crises. Her inbox contained 317 unread messages. Her calendar was booked solid. Her coffee was already cold. And now another email had arrived. Subject: Security Education. Requirement overdue. Jess groaned. Across the cubicle wall, Community Fingerprint Coordinator Helen McKinney looked up. Annual refresher? Jess nodded. I swear, I just completed it. Helen smiled. You say that every year. Postmaster Alfonso Hayes appeared moments later carrying a coffee mug that read, World's okayest postmaster. What's the emergency? Jess pointed at the screen. Security training. Alfonso pretended to stagger backward. The horror. Laughter erupted. Yet none of them realized how relevant that training would soon become. The annual awareness program covered more than policies. It addressed insider threats, personnel security, self-reporting, foreign intelligence collection, cyber awareness, identity protection, and, most importantly, human behavior. Because technology changes, human nature rarely does. As Jess dismissed the email, she glanced at the clock. Maybe tomorrow. The email disappeared. The lesson waiting behind it did not. Act 2. Cracks in the armor. Across Patch Barracks, 46-year-old contract specialist Markus Ritter sat alone in his office. Years of military service had taught him to solve problems, to adapt, to overcome, to never show weakness. Those traits had made him successful. Today, they were becoming dangerous. His investment account showed a balance that should not have existed. 0. 3 months earlier, he had invested heavily in what appeared to be a promising technology startup. The opportunity looked legitimate. Professional executives, convincing marketing, positive reviews, outstanding returns. Now, everything was gone. $78,000, years of savings, vanished. Markus buried his face in his hands. The financial loss wasn't the most dangerous part. The silence was. Because silence creates isolation. Isolation creates vulnerability, and vulnerability attracts predators. His phone vibrated. A message from his wife. "Everything okay?" Markus stared at the screen, then typed a response. "Everything's fine." It wasn't, and deep down, he knew it. Act 3. The training that changed everything. The following week, dozens of personnel gathered for a locally delivered security awareness session led by the Garrison Security Division. At the front stood Command Security Manager Alonzo Edwards. Beside him stood OPSEC Officer James J.B. Brooks. Professional, prepared, confident. The pair had taught security awareness countless times, yet they approached every session with the same seriousness, because every audience contained someone who needed the message. They just never knew who. J.B. smiled. "Before anyone asks, yes, coffee is available." Laughter filled the room. "And no, this will not be 3 hours of reading slides." More laughter. Then Alonzo stepped forward. The room immediately focused. Security isn't about protecting information. He paused. It's about protecting people. The atmosphere changed. For the next 90 minutes, the team transformed security concepts into real-world scenarios. Foreign influence, social engineering, travel risks, insider threats, financial vulnerabilities, self-reporting, professional responsibility. Jess found herself unexpectedly engaged. Then came a scenario exercise. A fictional employee loses a significant amount of money. Ashamed, the employee hides the incident. Weeks later, an online contact offers assistance. The contact requests only minor information in return. The room grew quiet. Suddenly, the scenario felt real. Alonzo looked around the room. Adversaries don't need to hack your network if they can manipulate your emotions. Nobody checked their phones. Nobody looked bored. The message had landed. Act 4. The professional response. 3 days later, the first warning signs appeared. Inside the DPTMS offices, Robert Taylor and Brian Buckner reviewed a series of unusual reports forwarded by multiple directorates. Separately, Andrew Williams and Arthur Blunt identified suspicious online interactions targeting members of the workforce. Meanwhile, Anti-Terrorism Officer Luke Fralick and Sergeant First Class Kaylee Schrader noticed a concerning pattern involving publicly available travel information. Individually, the reports seemed insignificant. Together, they painted a different picture, a larger picture. The professionals of USAG Stuttgart did exactly what professionals do. They communicated. They collaborated. They shared information, no drama, no panic, just disciplined teamwork. Soon, the information reached Stuttgart Army Counterintelligence. Special Agent Nathan Cole studied the intelligence picture forming on the screen. Beside him, cyber specialist Maya Bennett connected dozens of digital breadcrumbs. "This isn't random," Maya said. Nathan nodded. "They're building target packages." The room became silent. Maya zoomed in. Someone is collecting vulnerabilities. At nearly the same moment, Markus received another message. A recovery service. An attractive online contact. Promises of assistance. Promises of opportunity. Promises designed to exploit desperation. For a brief moment, Markus considered responding. Then he remembered something from the training. Bring problems into the light. His finger hovered over the keyboard, then stopped. Instead of replying, Markus picked up the phone. That single decision changed everything. Act 5. Beyond the certificate. Within hours, Markus voluntarily met with security officials. He expected judgment. He expected consequences. Instead, he encountered professionalism, respect, support, solutions. Nathan Cole listened carefully. Maya Bennett reviewed the evidence. Alonzo Edwards coordinated mitigation efforts. J.B. Brooks helped explain how the targeting process worked. Nobody treated Markus as a suspect. They treated him as a teammate. because that is what he was. As the investigation unfolded, the full scope of the threat emerged. The hostile actors had collected information from public social media posts, travel photos, professional achievements, family milestones, vacation announcements, conference attendance, individually harmless, collectively powerful. The adversaries were not stealing secrets. They were assembling puzzles, and every public detail added another piece. Later that month, Garrison Commander Colonel Edward Sanford convened the garrison's senior leaders: Robert Gwinner, CSM Christopher Melendez, Kyle Khoury, and many others. The briefing lasted nearly 2 hours. When it ended, the message was clear. The training had worked, not because people completed it, because they applied it. Markus reported. The workforce communicated. Leaders engaged. Security professionals collaborated. A threat was exposed. An adversary lost an opportunity, and a community became stronger. As the meeting concluded, Colonel Sanford looked around the room. This is exactly how a professional organization responds. Heads nodded throughout the room, because everyone understood. Security was never about the certificate. It was about what happened afterward. Epilogue: Awareness in action. By the end of the fiscal year, something remarkable had happened across USAG Stuttgart. Completion rates increased, but more importantly, conversations increased. Employees asked questions. Supervisors encouraged engagement. Co-workers looked out for one another. Self-reporting improved. Awareness improved. Trust improved. Jess Navarro became one of the strongest advocates for locally delivered security education. Helen and Alfonso joined her in helping coworkers better understand their digital footprints. Markus Ritter shared his experience privately with others facing personal challenges. And throughout it all, the security division continued its mission. Quietly, professionally, consistently. Building resilience one conversation at a time. Because every day, somewhere in the world, adversaries search for weaknesses, and every day, awareness denies them an opportunity, far beyond any certificate, far beyond compliance, far beyond checking a box. Lesson learned. Security awareness is not about passing a test. It is about recognizing vulnerabilities before someone else does. Financial difficulties are not failures. They are situations that may require support. Self-reporting is not punishment. It is protection. Social media is not inherently dangerous, but oversharing can create opportunities for exploitation. The strongest defense is not technology alone. It is a connected community of professionals who communicate, support one another, and act when something feels wrong. Compliance earns a certificate. Awareness protects a mission. And when awareness becomes culture, an entire community becomes stronger. The events in this story may be fictional. The vulnerabilities are not. Consider your own environment. What information are you sharing? What patterns are you revealing? What story are you unintentionally telling? If this story made you think differently, share it. Subscribe for more secure narratives. And remember, security is everyone's responsibility.